and welcome to the Making Magic Happen Press interview with the amazing Kelly Van Nelson, the exclusive interview with this amazing author. Hello, Kelly.
Hi, Karen. How are you? Hi, everyone.
I am good. How are you?
I'm fabulous. Yeah, I've got my leather jacket on. A little bit cold today in New South Wales, but I am good.
Yes, you are. You're glowing. It's beautiful. We were just having a giggle about your awesome chair.
Yeah, this is my big brother chair, or otherwise known as my wine chair.
Oh, yes, I can see
Yeah,
that. Wine o'clock chair. Awesome.
exactly.
Kelly, it's so good to be interviewing you today and to finding out more about Kelly Van Nelson and who she is. Can you tell us about Kelly Van Nelson, the author?
Yes. So I was born in Newcastle upon Tyne and lived in a working class area. And from a very young age, I always read and I always was writing something. I think as a bit of an outlet from everything at home and everything at school. I was bullied at school. So I always just had this sort of stress outlet of imagination and what was in books. And I've sort of, I think for maybe the last 12, 13, 14 years, been writing in earnest. And it's really gained a lot of momentum from there, I would say in the last 2 or 3 years in the Australian market. So it's been really exciting. But it's not, it feels like it's sort of just came out in the open, but I've been writing for a long, long time, just quietly and in the darkness and not really sort of putting it too much out there on social media and things, but it is very much cut us out the bag. And yeah, I pretty much write every day. So,
yeah, you can't hide from it anymore, Kelly. We all know how fabulous you are now. You just have to go with it. There's no hiding. And it's that it's not an overnight success thing. A lot of people think that it's that, but it may appear that like that in the public realm, but it's really not. Most authors are working many years behind the scenes to build up to where you are right now, which is awesome.
Exactly, yeah. And I think that's the case. I think it took a long time, years to get to a point that I could get a literary agent and that I could really find confidence to send work out and submit work out. And I joined a really good writers group a couple of years ago, KSP Writers Centre in Perth. And I started submitting every week and just built up from there, really. But I write, about the writer side, I sort of write anything and everything. I'm one of these authors. I just write about what I see that day or feel that day. Always about something contemporary or edgy or something going on with regards to like a social issue that's current and topical. And I like the uncomfortable topics. I like writing about taboo things or things that people don't particularly enjoy or like talking about, to try and lift their profile and get conversation going and challenge the thinking. Almost everything I write has got that sort of gritty and blunt kind of vibe about it. So I love writing that stuff. I've tried writing romance before and all kinds of things and it was dreadful. But anything current and topical, yeah, that's right up my alley.
And we love that. We love that you provide us all with that kind of reading. And it's kind of a bit opposite than who you are personally, because you're just so beautiful and caring. You have this really gorgeous energy. And then you're giving us this opportunity to have these conversations through your writing and to think about things that we may not be comfortable with, but you deliver it in a way that we can then discuss it in these kind of environments.
Yeah, I definitely try and always start, even in the writing, I write about social issues, but I try and balance it with the positive side of that. So you can be kicked down and you can have challenges in whatever's going on in the world, but with resilience and sort of willpower and focus and hard work, that I think you can overcome a lot of those things. So I try and sort of show that balance and contrast between challenges going on and then how you can sometimes overcome them. That's sort of a bit of a style that I have and like to play with a little bit. So it's not all darkness and doom and gloom and what's wrong out there, but how can you kind of get the positive out of those situations?
Beautiful. Resilience just shines through in your work, and that's because you are so resilient in your life, and yet you're still so positive. It's just amazing. We love it. Kelly, Graffiti Lane. Tell us about your why and the journey for that. Well, we kind of know the essence of your why, but the journey for Graffiti Lane.
Yeah, sure. So for a long time, I was working on a novel, and this novel had been going on and on and on for a few years, actually. I ended up writing half a dozen full drafts and things like that. And anyone who's written a novel knows the amount of work that goes into not just writing it, but the editing process. And I got to the point I was sort of like so fed up looking at this novel, I started writing other things for little breaks. And I started writing a lot of short stories, and they were getting into print, and I was submitting to magazines. They were getting out there and getting airtime. And I started doing the same with poetry. I think because poetry, it's so short, it's so sharp, and you can write it anywhere, and you can do it in little windows of time, which is quite different from the novel process. So I sort of had been churning out all of these poems, just not even consciously thinking about publishing them or anything. It was just stuff that I was writing every day, sometimes before bed, or, while I was traveling or something. And then when I took a sort of step back, I had hundreds of them. I had, a few hundred poems. And a writer friend of mine, Dr. Laurie Steed, actually, he's another Perth author. He had been messaging me about the novel, around not giving up, and, that your right break will come. And if it doesn't, then there'll be a different step that you take in your writing career. And it's just finding what that step is. And he messaged me that one day, and I thought, maybe it's the poems, because I've got all this stuff there. And they all had similar themes when I kind of went through them all. And I just kind of decided to try and pull them together into this collection. And of course, it came good. Yeah. So, it wasn't intentional. I just had been writing them all the time. And but definitely a good concurrent theme right through them. And I was super happy when I pulled them together that they had a good coherent kind of theme going on.
And it's a beautiful book to start with your publishing journey on, that beautiful platform for you to build up that readership. And at the beginning, it was called Big Bullies, which is awesome for the theme of the book. And then you and our beautiful friend Tess Woods come up with the theme Graffiti Lane, because graffiti is such a cool energy to have on your cover.
Yeah, definitely. When I think about poetry, and I've read a fair bit of poetry, a lot of it is literary, academic, and you need a thesaurus to sort of look up the words and things, and that's not my style at all. I had written a lot of the poems just in a very blunt way, calling it as it is, on urban issues that I had seen, whether it be in street art or whether it be through oppressive situations in corporate bullying or playground bullying, or just out in the world, or sort of domestic violence situations and things. And I had brainstormed this whole concept of big bullies because a lot of the poems have that theme. And then when we looked at the collection, quite a few of them are around street art. I work a lot traveling to Melbourne. And I'd been up and down the Melbourne lanes, and I always photograph the pictures there. And I had this collection of photographs and collection of poems around just different really good mural artists who weren't vandalizing. They were actually commissioned artists and doing really good work to get a social message out there. And one of the poems, the very, very last one, it's like a 3-line poem, is called Graffiti Lane. And it matched beautifully with a photograph of Hosier Lane in Melbourne. Yeah. And Tessa's son actually designed the cover, and it kind of went from there. And I thought it just like summed up my style, the whole name and the whole cover, which is, this whole urban look and feel. And I think it's sort of, it makes poetry a little bit cool and contemporary again. And I think it's finding a market that it is sort of like changing a lot of people's thoughts around what poetry is and can be. It doesn't just have to be one style or another style. It can be very open and fluid. And I think it's getting there with that.
And it leaves it accessible for all ages as well, doesn't it, Kelly? Yeah, the cover, we connect with it. Whenever I was in Melbourne at our resilience talk, I went to Hosier Lane. It's just the energy down that lane. Wow, it's really cool, isn't it?
It's beautiful, actually, a lot of the art. And I'm getting a lot of readers now in the YA space, actually, and which is quite interesting because you don't always associate YA readers with wanting to look at poetry, but I'm actually getting quite a bit of traction there with teenagers and or parents buying the book and their teenagers are stealing the book and reading it first. And I had an email last week on a friend of mine, her son was using it in his homework. One of the poems in there about school bullying. And I've got a few authors talks happening in schools as well. So it was a market. I never intentionally thought about it. And it's a bit borderline between that YA market and adult market, but it's definitely getting
totally fits. Yeah, totally fits. And it's where you can really make a difference as well. And poetry is kids will get your poetry, which is really cool, and it'll help with those conversations and just make it more easier to bring it into the classroom, which is it's just what you're doing is paving the way for everyone. It's just beautiful. Kelly, can I ask you, what is your writing process? So we've heard about your poetry. What about your novels? What's your writing process?
My writing process is a little crazy. I can write anywhere and anytime. So I work off a laptop, and I have learned somehow over the years to tune out noise. And I can write with my son playing the electric guitar in the background, my daughter, blaring Friends on the TV, the dog barking. I can write with lots of people around me on an airplane or in an airport. I just can somehow zone out in these kind of windows of time. So I don't have a particular spot that I write in, or a special desk or a special place or anything like that. I literally, I've got a full-time day job in the corporate world and a family and this writing sort of life going on. And I just basically grab the snippets of time where I can, wherever I am, and I use them productively. And whether that's a 3-line poem or whether it's a chunk of a novel, whatever comes out that day, I don't sit down and intend to write like 5,000 words a day or 3,000 words a day or put boundaries on what I write or when I write. It just comes out. Every day something comes out, but I don't have a particular style or pattern to it. My best place though for writing is on an airplane. I think it's something in the
gravity thing.
And I think I'm in denial that Wi-Fi is actually coming onto airplanes because I don't want it to ever interfere with that sort of enclosed time that I have that I can focus on writing, because I can churn a lot on an airplane flight.
Yeah, that is so cool, especially a long haul. Can you imagine?
Oh, I love it. It's the best sort of personal time that you can get. Nobody bothers you or.
Being able to just switch off noise is a true gift. I have that gift as well, which is amazing. And so I can understand. But because you're always writing, your subconscious mind is always ready there with something to write. As soon as you switch on, say, okay, I'm writing now, it's ready to churn out, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I never really get writer's block. People ask about writer's block, but I think because I don't sit down and say, I have to write 1,000 words of that. It never really happens. If I sit down and I can't write a piece of a novel, then I'll write a 2-line poem, or I'll write a 500-word flash fiction short story or something, and that gets you going again. So I think it's just a style. I don't work with boundaries. I just
you roll with you. But you do Kelly Van Nelson writing very well. You just have you've refined your own voice, and you just roll with it. And I think that a lot of people can learn from that. A lot of authors can learn from, just find what works for you and go with it. Don't set boundaries, just let it free flow, and then just see what happens from there.
Yeah, that's it. And I think just trying to be authentic as well about what you want to write. I tried writing, women's fiction, different styles. I tried writing a crime, kind of Miss Marple style book, and it wasn't me. Now I just write about whatever I feel I want to write about that day, and what I say and what I feel, and it makes it a better writing process and a better writer when you do that.
Beautiful. Kelly, what are your future writing aspirations? What do you want to see happen in your future?
For Graffiti Lane, I'm enjoying this sort of platform it's giving on some of the topics in there around anti-bullying, which is dear to my heart from the school days when I sort of had some verbal bullying going on. So the anti-bullying piece is a really good one. I definitely want to just reach those couple of readers that it really hits home, that they can try and find ways to deal with that situation and, and look at things from a different perspective. So I do like that platform, and on anti-bullying and cyberbullying in particular, I'm getting a lot of press requests, and I did some filming with the Today Tonight crew and things like that. And so some of the topics in there are also coming through and shining through around domestic violence. I'm getting a lot of people email me actually where they've got situations at home they can't get out of, and they've discovered some of these poems, and they're really reaching out with different sort of stories that are quite inspirational. And that's what it's all about. It wasn't never about sort of, the chart. It's doing well on the sales front and the charts, but it wasn't about that. It was just around writing something that came from the heart and might touch someone and might actually help someone deal with the situation. And even if it's just escaping from it with reading the poems for 5 minutes, that's good. That's a good thing. And I feel like I'm giving something back to the community in those spaces where people sometimes don't have their own voice or platform. So the book, I think, is doing that. I think it's getting given to the Logies winners soon, so I haven't announced that on social media, so it is exclusive here.
Yeah, we get exclusive information.
So, yeah, that's exciting, and we'll see what that brings as well with, again, some of the topics in the book. But as a writer, the broader piece, I don't know, I always want to be able to find the windows of time to write, because it's not always easy. I'm trying to get the second novel finished that I'm working on. That's a work in progress. But just keep writing on the topics that I want to write about, and getting it out there and generating conversation.
You're ready to embrace the journey. Yes. You're fusing the journey of corporate life and writing life so well. It's wonderful to watch and observe. And one of the things that I noticed whenever myself and yourself connected about Graffiti Lane, you just had this absolute definite knowing and this trust in the process. And we have free flowed through the process. It's just been such a beautiful experience publishing you. It's just free flowed, and everything just kind of fell into line along the way. And there's just this knowing and this that you're just ready to go anywhere that you need to be with this book, and you are on a mission. And it's not about anything ego-based, it's just you're on a mission to make a difference, a real difference through your words. And you're such an amazing poet, and your poetry just speaks directly to your heart, and that is a true gift. That is not easy to do, but yet you do it with you make it look so easy for us all, and it's really not. But it's a real gift. So from all of the readers of Graffiti Lane, thank you so much for making this difference, Kelly.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Thank you for publishing it and getting it out there and giving me that platform. It really has been a good journey.
It's still been so fun.
Still going, so.
There's a long way to go. This is a forever book. So yeah, it's so fun. But guys, if any of you have any questions for Kelly after you watch this interview, you can post them in the comments below. It's also going to be on YouTube. Post them in the comments on YouTube. Or you can reach out to myself at mmhpress.com or to Kelly at kellyvannelson.com. Isn't it .com, Kelly? Yes?
It is. That's right.
If you are ready to buy your beautiful signed copy of Graffiti Lane, which I highly recommend, go to kellyvannelson.com and you can get a signed copy, which is a treasure, because I am telling you, this lady is going places. So this is going to be, if you have your signed edition in 10 years time, you never know, hey?
Exactly, yeah.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Kelly, for joining us, and for being so open and so giving with all of your journey and your information. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Karen. I feel like the chair's going to flip now. So
yeah, I'm just going to pull the lever here. You're going to fly
exactly.
back.
Pull the lever, flip me back, and yeah. Thank you. Thanks so much.